Hello. As you know, I've been doing a YouTube series and trying to help people get into AI for very minimal cost. So the most of the videos so far have been on Raspberry Pi or setting up a virtual machine on your laptop and using a little bit of the capacity for that. So I was at a work trip last week. I was at the Google Summit and AgentSpace came out, and it's like Agentic AI is here. It's the one that's going to take all the jobs. And it's like, I thought I better hurry up and write more of the documentation to help people get into a career in AI. So this weekend, my wife's away, my child's away. So I thought I'm going to go to a caravan where there's no distractions. I'm just going to sit down and try and get Agentic AI on a Raspberry Pi. It does sound nice. So what I've done is I've got two 8 gig Raspberry Pis, Raspberry Pi 5s. They're about $80, and the case is about $6 or $7 or pounds. And we've got, so what's brilliant about it is you can put a new operating system on it just by using a £3 or £4 SD card. So I've got two SD cards. I decided to set myself a challenge is to burn these two, probably with Ubuntu operating system, and we'll see how far we get. I'm pretty sure we're going to get it, and I'll document it on enzosdad.com, which is the URL I've bought. Whether I use it or not, I've not used it for anything else, so I'll put the docs there. I've got a URL that I use, you'll see in some other videos. I've got secretsbox or secretbox.org. So all I'm going to use is I'm going to use my MacBook Air as a client. I'm going to use two Raspberry Pis. Hopefully we could get it down to one. The size of the LLM is going to be probably the deciding factor. I'm pretty confident we can get everything else working relatively small. I've just got a USB dongles to write the cards. And because I'm hiding in the caravan for the fortnight, for the weekend, if I do get stuck, I do have 3 MacBook Pros of various vintages. 2 are Intel and one is an M1 Max, or an M1, no, it's an M1 Pro. But if we need to use a bigger LLM, we'll use that. And if that doesn't work at all, we'll just call out to ChatGPT or one of the other big ones. But my challenge is to get Agentic AI on a Raspberry Pi in a sequence of a few videos that are maybe 10 minutes roughly each. Okay, thanks. Pi's website. It's got the Raspberry Pi software to download the image. So we're going to just basically install this on my MacBook Air. It's just the only reason it is to burn the operating system onto the Raspberry Pi, both of them. So yeah, so nice and simple. Anybody thinking of a Raspberry Pi, if you follow Raspberry Pi's links in your country, so I'm in the UK, I've got a choice of 4 vendors. I know Amazon do them, so possibly cheaper. For the Raspberry Pi 5, I've picked an 8 gig of RAM. The prices are pretty constant, so that's going to be in dollars. It's pretty much the same as euros. So $25 for the Raspberry Pi. We'll see how we get. That might be a more sensible option, the 16 one. And if you look at my other videos, you might decide to do it for free on a virtual machine on your laptop. But we can always revisit. But the challenge is to try and get Agentic AI on a Raspberry Pi in a weekend from scratch. And you can see this case is the case I've got for both of them. It's £9.30 just now. It's been as low, I've noticed it as low as $6, and it just fluctuates. And blank Raspberry Pi, micro SD card is about £3, maybe even less than that now. And the good thing is, whatever you're normally running on a Raspberry Pi, you could just buy an extra SD card for another $3, and you've got a different operating system for a different day. So you might decide to use it as a main computer, and you'd want to put on Raspberry Pi. Because my background is real Unix, I'm going to pick a real Unix from the installer. So you should be able to do it in a virtual machine but we'll see how much horsepower an LLM takes to run. In my mind, I'm going to try DeepSeek. We might need to link out to OpenAI or Claude or somewhere if we need more horsepower to get the quality better. But we'll get that details shortly. But it's going to be a challenge. No GPU. We'll see if a Raspberry Pi 5 can run an LLM. We might not, but it can certainly run everything else. We'll try. So thanks for that. So in addition to finding my password for the caravan because I didn't know what it was, there's another prerequisite step. So it's optional. You can use passwords. I'm lazy. I'm going to try not to use passwords just because it makes sense. So on my MacBook here, I've got a folder called Play. That's where I put all my Play stuff, as you can imagine. So what we did for today, or for this weekend, we made a DAR called Agentic AI on Pi. Everything we're going to use for this weekend should go in here to make it easier for me to document. So all we do is we CD into the folder, and then to make an SSH pair, so without going into too much detail, there's a public key and a private key. So what we just wanted to generate was a pair for this weekend. And this is going to let us log into each Pi, and additionally we may set it to allow each Pi to call each Pi. So all we do is we're making a key. So we just put, the command is SSH keygen. We're just going to call it Pi5 key. Blank password, just to make life easy. And it generates a file. So we've got two files. We've got Pi5 key, which is the private key, and we've got Pi5 key.pub, which is the public key. So these match. So it's this clever math behind the scenes, but it's too hard to reverse engineer. But basically, this is the credential that we're going to put on the Pi at build time, and if we submit that Pi key, we should be able to log on without a password. And then we can run scripts on both Pis and all sorts of clever stuff. So thank you for that. Installed, and we've just started it up. So we just select, in this case it's a Raspberry Pi we're running on. So we pick Raspberry Pi 5. For the operating system, I'm not going to use Raspberry Pi, I'm going to use one that you might use on a real server, which makes life easier. So we go to others. Alpine, probably a better choice longer term, but all my other training courses are Ubuntu. Ubuntu is the easiest Linux to use, so we'll go with that. We'll pick a server because I don't need all the gubbins of desktop. We just want it to be fire and forget. We don't actually even want a monitor on it or a keyboard. We just want to run. This is the one that came with a GoPro. I would strongly recommend either using Samsung or SanDisk cards. I've had so much trouble with the cheap ones from Amazon. Some of them seem to be fakes. I've reported them as well. So stick with a brand name one. For all the cost, it doesn't matter. Hit next, and we'll just edit the settings so that we never ever need to connect my monitor to the Raspberry Pi. So we'll go to General. Hostname, I'm going to set one to Pi-LLM, and I'll set the other one to pod or something like that. I plan on running the LLM on one of them because of the horsepower, and I'll do all the clever stuff on the one with containers. So I've set Alan as username and the password, which is the password. We've set the Wi-Fi. GB, I'm in London, Europe. Cool. Enable SSH. Allow public authentication, and the key we just made in the last screenshot. Let me get it. So let's see if this works. Save. Do I hit add SSH key? Oops. So the same one. Delete key. Let's just run the one we made. Oh, actually. Maybe I need Alan's MacBook Air 2 on it. Let's see. Right, we'll see in options. Okay, let's save. Would you like to apply? Yes. All existing data on the card will be erased. Yes. Oh, it wants to write. So my Mac's just want permission to write to a disk. Couldn't resolve. Oh well, it failed miserably. Never mind. Let's try again. Yes. Maybe I spelled the password wrong. Oh. Couldn't resolve image. A duff dongle. So I've just replaced the dongle that the SD card can read, and I've ran it and it all worked fine. I used disk utility, which is inside applications, just to wipe the SD card. So I've done this for the second one. So again, I'll pick Raspberry Pi. I'll pick Ubuntu. And the reason I'm picking Ubuntu, because I did do a build with it with Alpine, is that I know how to configure Ubuntu without needing a keyboard screen, because I didn't take a keyboard or screen with me today. So we'll choose the storage. Okay, we'll go next. I'll edit the section. So this is a different machine. So the first one we'll have the LLM on, and we'll just call this one pod, because we'll put the containers on it. Exactly the same. Services, same key. And we'll kick this off, which I think takes about 15 minutes. Yes. Yes. Again, it's asking for my machine password to write to hardware. There we go, and I'll leave it at that, and we can assume it's going to be fine in about 10-15 minutes. And thank you very much. Stop and I'll log into the other, and then that'll be the end of the first video. Thank you very much. Out of the way, as if it was a computer in a server room, and to be fair, that's effectively what they are. They have got 8 gig of RAM. They've got a very slow CPU, but it'll do. So this is the screen we left where we made the SSH keys. As you can see, I've logged into the one we called the LLM. So let's see if we can log into the one that we called pod. So the SSH -i means use the file, the SSH file we made, so we don't need passwords for that. Alan was the user we made in the card, and hopefully the names registers itself with the DNS locally and it can find it. So it's going, it's detected it, it's going, do we trust it? Yes. There we go, so it's trusted it, and that's us able to log into this computer as well, which is brilliant. So you can see it's the Pi's built. -a. There we go. We can see it's a Raspberry Pi. So we've got one terminal on the Mac as a client for pushing things in and out. We can connect to the Pi that we're going to put the pods on. We can connect to the Pi that we're going to put the LLMs on. So that's all the physical stuff done for today. Let's get on with the interesting stuff, but I'll put that as a separate video on YouTube. So the first video, we've got why we're doing the challenge. I might add a bit of personal stuff about myself, but it's we've got 2 Raspberry Pis. We've got downloaded the Ubuntu operating system. We've installed it and we've powered them up. So we're ready to get onto the AI part, but that's the computer's built. So thank you. In a YouTube video, you see it as a slide deck on Keynote, which is the Max version of PowerPoint, with a white background. But I actually use an application called Draw.io. It's free and it's really, really good. And that's how we're going to document what we're going to build this weekend. Much like a hackathon, let's all join in the fun, but let's document what we've built. So what we've built is we've got 2 Raspberry Pis. Both of them have got Ubuntu on. One's called Pi 5 LLM, or dashed, and the other's called Pi 5 dashed pod. So at the end of this is the first video. As I say, I try and chunk them up into roughly 10-minute videos. So we document it. I think we're going to try Podman rather than Docker on the pod one, and LLM will probably put a Llama and the first LLM on. So thanks very much, and I'll save it here.